Hello guys, in this video I'm gonna show how to get started with the UI script writing, UI test script writing for the application under test. So I'll log in. Let's stick to the same scenario that we have been discussing since last few videos. Let's just say that I want to automate a simple scenario where user logs in as a task manager to this application, and then he comes here, he creates a new request, then he saves it, and then he again from this header, he in the console group menu item, he selects the task manager console as option, and another page gets loaded, task manager console, and then in the record grid we have to verify whether the request that we created is listed or not. Let's just say this is a simple scenario that I have to write a UI test for. So basically, when we are writing a UI test script, we often face two challenges. First challenge basically is to identify various UI elements in a unique manner, right? I mean, I should be able to locate this particular text field in a unique manner. Same is the case with this new request option, or for that matter, same is the case with this console or the task manager console option, right? I should be able to locate this element first before I could act upon it. So unique identifier, that's the first thing. And secondly, once you identify the element, you want to be able to interact with it. So like in the case of text field, you want to set text, or in case of button, you want to click on it. So this interaction or these methods are also equally important. Considering that the smart app is based on the innovation suite, business partner can make use of various innovation suite based UI elements, and the framework that we are providing takes care of both the things. It could uniquely identify the elements with their unique identifier, and it could also we also have a comprehensive set of classes for these various element types. Like in Innovation Studio context, we have record grid, drop down, attachment field, boolean, or this application global header for that matter. There are very specific UI elements for which user don't have to worry about. They can simply start using those classes, and they can effectively interact. So now in this particular scenario, let us step back and go back to the Innovation Studio. Let me show you the view definitions that we're trying to automate. So the scenario that we just saw, we are trying to create a request. So here is the create request view definition, and then we are trying to go to task manager console to sort of see the created entry. So you can see this is basically like a blueprint. View definition is like a blueprint of the application pages, and all UI elements which are possible under different circumstances on that page can be seen here, right? So the other, we need to remember a couple of things here. Like if I go back to create a request, let's just say that the description, right? So description is a text field, right? It's a text field. So it's a text field, that's the first thing. And secondly, it is also a part of a record editor called task, a record definition called task. So basically we are saying that developer has developed this view where he has added a field called description from the record definition called task, or the record editor, right? So now let's just go back and see the generated classes. So we have already loaded this classes, required classes to automate the simple scenario that we just discussed earlier. So I need to primarily deal with two views. Firstly, I need to deal with the create a request view, and then I need to verify it, I need to deal with task manager console view. Right. So along with these two classes, we can also see two folders along. So why these folders are here? Create a request Java makes use of several record editors, just the way we saw task, right? So this, for every record editor, separate class gets created, and each of this class will have all the field which which were put up in that view definition. So obviously, while writing a UI test case, we won't be directly interacting with this record editor. Okay, these classes are internally called automatically within by this primary classes, view definition classes, right? So all we have to do is now just copy this thing, and this is my folder, right? The sample app UI automation. So I've already done the Maven clone install, the POM file installation, and then I launched it using my IDE called IntelliJ. And then when I opened it up, there were two folders, main and sample. So in the sample, I created one more folder called pages, and so earlier there were just steps UI automation suite under the sample. Okay, let's just ignore custom element for now. So I created pages folder to store my page classes which I generated using the utility, and I simply copy pasted it here. Now we can see there is one error. So why this error? So we have to remember that utility that we use to load the class is basically to help tester to quickly build the classes. But there are still few glitches that we have to live with, we have to correct manually. Like for example, in the innovation suite, now here is the error that it is throwing, that in task manager console, it is making use of, we can have various elements added in this view definition, and while designing the view definition, like here, if you go back and see here, we can add multiple, like for example description, right? We can see description here as well and description here as well for our design purpose, which is completely fine. But then when the class gets loaded, it will load this element and this element with the same name and description, and obviously that will result into an error, right? Because utility won't be able to distinguish. So for that we have to just manually correct those. Like in this case, that it's a record editor, so basically it is returning this instance of this record editor called task and task1. Okay, so we need to make it task1. Okay, so that is the only difference, only thing we have to make sure that all the errors are gone. Errors will only be around this area, that there could be a duplicate label name which Innovation Studio allows, and utility also generates a page class using the same value, but then the Java won't tolerate that, so we have to fix it, we have to rename it to some other unique name, which we just did, and then the rest things are fine. So now I already have these two classes and this record editor inside. So how do I go about it? So now example, in the create request, so in the typical Selenium fashion, I can create a class or a method directly here under this class saying create a request, or I can directly write that in my various stage classes while building the test script. So let's just see how to do that. Before that, so if you look at this create a request view class. It has all the elements which are part of this view request view definition loaded here. So we can see this is a constructor which it has initialized. Then this is the rich text field that it identified from the view request. Okay, then this is the a task. It's a record editor. Okay, it returns the instance of this record editor. Okay, similarly it returns the button field associate. It looked for the button automatically. Similarly, there's another record editor, we can see dummy action, and then it returns basically the instance of the record editor. And if you open the dummy action, we can see all the fields which are used by this request editor from the dummy action record definition. So you can see current user and description, these two fields are being used by this create a request view definition from this editor. It is pretty easy to understand. I'll show how to write a simple script. So let's just so this is the script, right, which we already saw, and I'll just show like the create a request with data. So this method is defined in the when class. Okay, so it would begin with normal test case writing. So like, since I have to create a request, I would need to instantiate a create request view, right, this particular view. So I've already instantiated that. This driver instance is already initialized in the base UI test when class, so we need not worry about it. We can directly just write this value and that is it. It will do all the magic. And then with this value we get all the access. So create a request, this particular view, if you see, this is again extending the base page, and base page has all the methods which are typically required by the UI tester to effectively build the test script, like all sort of wait for successful messages to disappear, or wait for all errors to disappear, or just simply wait until particular element appears, or if you want to sort of get the access to the header, because every page will have header like this. This is the header, right? Workspace animation. So every smart app would have this common. So how do we control this? So we have this method called header. Okay, so simply once I created the instance of it, then I get all the control. See, let's just say header. I want to first click on this option, right? I want to first click on this new request option so that this page gets loaded. So from the header, I want to click on this new request menu item. So same thing I'm doing, dot header dot, then I have click menu item or click sub menu item. I want to use click menu item, and then this particular new request. So same thing I've written here. Okay, you also might want to sort of, okay, once page is loaded, so you want to ensure the page is loaded, so you say create a request, same instance value, and say wait for execution complete, to ensure that page is loaded successfully before you proceed with the entering the values. And then you say create a request, same instance you take. Now the description field I want to set this particular field, and I know that description field is part of a record editor called task. Okay, hence I'll first call the record editor instance task. So this will, what it is doing, if you go to create a request, this would return, I'm calling this method task. So this would return with the control to this task class. What is it? This is the one. It's a record editor which is created here. Yeah. So I come here, and then from that record editor, I want to select my description field. See, we can see description is a text field. And then it's a set data or get data for that matter, or other method also, like all the method which are applicable on the text field will be listed here. You want to get data, clear, get label, is enable, is read only, is visible, set data, set field, focus. So all those methods will be visible here. And then under the same view, I choose the button save request. As you can see, save request button is not part of any record editor. Okay, so hence I could directly call that, and then I simply call the other method called click, and I finish writing. After I click on the save, it shows the message. See, this is how it shows, right? It says test 1. This message it shows saved successfully, right? So to be able to proceed with the next UI interaction, I have to deal with it. I have to either wait for it to disappear or I have to close it, right? So that too has been taken care of. You have to come here and say wait for successful messages to disappear. Okay? And once that message disappear, what we're doing is we are initializing task manager console page. So that is what my next step is about. First, I instantiated the creator request view definition. Once I'm done with that job, I knew that my path requires, or my business flow requires me to deal with the next view called task manager console. So I called that, I instantiated that console, that view definition here. You could have declared this in the beginning of the next method. I declared it here because I wanted to show the scenario state annotation uses, which I just explained in the earlier video. But we can keep it anywhere. We can keep it at the beginning also of this next method, where I'm actually dealing with this page, and that method is in here then. So I'll show it that here. So we are done with the create request. We saw how to create a request, okay, how we initialize create a request page and worked with its various elements. Similarly, then I want to verify the request. So this is another method function which I've written in the then class. And again here, since I've already instantiated this variable earlier, I need not redo that. I simply copy this scenario state and I continue using the same state. So task manager console, again header, and I'm going to click menu, sub menu item, consoles and task manager console. So basically I'm going here, header, and then console, sub menu item, and task manager console. And then again I'm waiting for the execution to complete to ensure that page is loaded. And then this is where I'm actually asserting or verifying, putting the checkpoint, the task manager console, and I'm calling task request. Task request is my record grid. I can just show that here. See, task request is my record grid field. Okay, and then I want to say get all values from the column. Say I want to get values from this column description to verify whatever request I'd created with is listed, right? So I want to get some unique value and I'm relying on, say, description in this case. Okay, and I'm verifying whether whatever request I have created is listed in the record grid or not. And that is it. My test script is done. Okay, and how do we run it? We go to UI automation. We can directly run through ID also. Like you can come here and from directly you can run, or you can run from here if you want particular suite to run. And you can also come here UI automation, say CMD, and then you trigger your run like this from the command prompt. It will first try to download all the dependencies which are required for this test scripts. It is running some initial processes to launch the browser. To log in as a task manager. It will set the description for the new request. It will wait for that message to disappear as we said earlier, and then it will click on the consoles and then click on the task manager console option, and then it will verify that it is listed in this table and the script is executed. Now to see the test report, we have to go to UI automation in the target, JK reports, HTML, and this is the index we have to open. So my first test script is successful, and since I'm following the JK framework, you can see the readability of the test script. It tells me what precondition I executed this test script with, what actual steps I tried, and what exactly I verified. So this is how the readable test script becomes. Now some people may ask, what about the custom elements? So yes, custom element will not be loaded by the page utility. So this classes, right, this pages, create a request, this will not list custom element if there were any, right? But it doesn't deter the tester from writing it, right? I mean, they can always come here and modify the page class. It's much easier to do, right? If I'm having a custom element which neither which cannot be identified using the which cannot be interacted using the existing Selenium web element interface, then I can create my own class as well, right? How do I do that? Again, same thing. Under the sample, you can custom elements. Say I have Google Earth, so I created a class here, and I can um, right, I can have my description written here the way I choose to. I can fill in with all the details. Okay, I can, and then when I come here in the create a request, I can call that, right? I mean, instead of public, I can make it as a Google Earth, right? And then in my final script writing, I can say right. So this is how flexible this framework is. We can accommodate our custom classes also the way we want. Even though those are not picked up by the utility, we can always go ahead and define it. We can either make use of the existing Selenium web element interface, the way we normally do it in Selenium page object model, or if you want to create our own separate class with all the behavior implemented in case of very peculiar custom element, very unique custom element, then that too we can do that.